peace and prosperity, not war and destruction. With President Obama and Secretary Clinton, we've had the exact opposite. A reckless, rudderless, and aimless foreign policy. One that has blazed a path of destruction in its wake. I challenge anyone to explain the strategic foreign policy vision of Obama-Clinton. It has been a complete and total disaster.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the much ballyhooed foreign policy address by Donald Trump earlier in the week. Joining us now is the former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense and columnist with the Washington Times, Jed Babbin. Hello, sir.
Hey, great to be back with you, Steve.
Always good to talk to you. All right, so, there's been a lot of people weighing in, criticizing and or praising what they heard from Donald Trump. What say you?
Well, I thought the speech was actually pretty good. Certainly not perfect by any means, but, the man is learning the topic. And I think at this point we have to understand that, like it or not, this guy is going to be the Republican nominee. So let's try to be helpful to him. And, my criticisms are aimed really at trying to nudge him in the right direction. There are a few things that bothered me greatly. Some things he said that were very good. On the very good side, I think he's right. The NATO nations really have to pitch in, which they haven't done for, 30 or 40 years. They need to pay for their own defenses. They need to make sure that they invest in their own forces so they can actually pick up some of the burden. I think he's right in saying that our allies have been shunned and our enemies embraced. I mean, that's basically been the Obama approach since he was inaugurated. And, you see that all the time. I think some of the things that bothered me are, they're pretty big, but they can be fixed, I think, relatively easily. One of the things that bothered me was his idea that we want to contain radical Islam. I think we've learned over the past, 1,400 years, that you can't contain them. You can contain some of the individual groups, certainly, and we're not doing that in regard to ISIS, and I like his idea of beating them roundly and soundly and quickly. But the idea of beating radical Islam just is not possible unless you defeat their ideology. So there again, a little shift in thinking for him. I think he'd probably get to the right answer pretty quickly. NATO, he's very close. Again, I would say it in different terms. He said, basically, we need to have them to pay us to defend them. I think we'd be better off having them invest in their own defense. I think his idea of sitting down with Putin is probably a good idea, but what are they going to talk about?
Yeah.
I mean, Obama has really given things away in this nuclear non-proliferation deal he had with Putin, and it's a bad deal. But the fact is, it might be something we can change, back out of. I mean, Trump has pretty much an open slate on that. The other thing he did not say, although he said the Iran deal is a very bad deal, he didn't say what he'd do with it. And I think you have to, we need to have him say that he would basically revoke that agreement. Not basically, he would revoke that agreement as soon as he possibly could. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one thing that impressed me also is he made a point of talking about the slaughter of Christians and how that's got to stop and we have to do something. I thought that was very important and showed, whoever wrote it, but still in all showed a depth of understanding of what is happening that we all choose as a nation and as a world, unfortunately, to ignore. No, I think that's absolutely right. I think we have to stand up for principles. I mean, that's one of them that we have to stand up for. We don't go in for genocide by anybody, against anybody, and the persecution of Christians in the Middle East is really manifold at this point. I mean, we've got to stand against that just like we stand with Israel. And, he's said some disconcerting things about how he wants to approach the Israeli issues. But I think, again, he can be pushed in the right direction, and I think that's what we have to do. We as conservatives have to say, this man's going to be the nominee, and what we have to do is kind of push him in the right direction. Yeah, absolutely. Jeb, always good to talk to you, sir. Jed? Thanks, pal. Thank you. Jed Babbin, ladies and gentlemen, former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, and we always appreciate his expertise. All right, if you're a Seinfeld fan, you're going to love my Gimme 5, which is coming up next. It's huge. Don't go away.